Hey there guys, PrinceLaharlkun here, and... Oh, I can't do that. Hey there guys, PrinceLaharlkun here, and welcome back to Let's Play Golden Sun. In the last episode, we watched the intro sequence, and a lot of pretty crazy stuff happened in it. And in this episode, we're going to go see Kraden. But I do want to point out in this episode that we do have a bit of a name change. As you can see here, I renamed Jenna into Allie, as a reference to my good friend Allison. And some other characters have had their names changed as well. For example, if you recall Felix from the last episode, his name has been changed to Rob. And I changed a couple of those characters' names as well, so I figured it would be important to point that out. Just so you guys won't be confused, and just so you know that they're the same simple characters. Alright, so in this episode we're gonna go ahead and make our way to Kraden's. But as you can see, we are in Vale, and Vale is an interesting little town where we can do quite a few things, actually. Although right now we're pretty poor, and it's under item. We only have 310 coins, so we don't have much. So there's really, I don't think there's even anything we can buy in the store here anyway, if I remember right. Let's go ahead and head to the town and see. So, one thing to note is that as you saw in the previous episodes, we had stuff like giant hands and whatnot come out, and those are called synergy. Synergy is basically this game's magic, and as you notice here, Zack here has Cure, Move, and Retreat. These synergy are not just useful in battle. For example, Cure restores 70 HP, so you can imagine that's going to be really useful in and out of battle. But you notice there's another type of synergy here called Move, which has move an object on the ground. And you saw last episode where Eric decided to use that on that wooden plank. Well, not even really plank. I don't even know what you'd call that. So, as you saw there, that's gonna be a really big mechanic in this game, because this game has a lot of different puzzles for that, and let's actually see if we can buy any new weapons. I think we can... Is the longsword better? Oh god, it's been a long time. That's not what I need to do. Oh yeah, this is one of those old school RPGs. I'm so used to being spoiled now that, yeah, it's got an attack of 8. Oh yeah, Dur, you can just do... My bad, it's been a long time since I played this. Alright, so I think actually, since we're here, I might as well just go ahead and buy this weapon for Zack. And then when you buy stuff from it, one of the neat things is you can equip it from here, and the shopkeepers will offer to let you sell any stuff that you had. Just right like that. I always remember when I got this game that I thought that was a really cool little addition, because that wasn't something that a lot of RPGs did, because you just have to go back and manually sell them. Let's go ahead and... Oh yeah, and you get a game ticket. Those are going to come in handy a bit later, but I really never use them, so I'll explain that when the time comes. Let's see, anything else we can get while I'm at it? We don't have any helmets. I can get a leather cap for him. Or for me. For him. Because, you know, it's not like my name's Zack or anything. Let's give that to Eric. And then gloves, we've got that. The wooden shield is better than the gloves, but I already bought the gloves because I'm dumb and forgot that hand items are like that. Yeah, and the travel vest is better. Really, this stuff's not too bad. Alright, so we're pretty geared up. And, oh, yeah. The A button opens the menu, but the A button is also your action button as well to check stuff. So, this is the Synergy Stone. You can look at that to recover your, PP. Or, as I constantly called it in Mother 3, PSI points, because I was like, teehee, I said PP, and that's just the funniest thing ever, cause it's immature and dumb, and meh meh meh. You better believe I laughed a lot at that silly joke when I was a kid, Pokemon too. So anyway, let's go ahead and head to Kraden's now that we've got a little bit of gear, and we're a bit better off than we previously were. That right there is something that we can't do with yet, so we'll have to come back later for that. And there are puppies up here. There's some puppies playing over there, we should leave them be. Yes, let's not go interrupt the puppies at all. Because, you know, that would be the worst possible thing. Because it just so happens there's a convenient group of puppies just playing over there, and we shouldn't mess with them. If I recall correctly... should be right over here. They seem to know little of Soul Sanctum's mysteries. The Elders of Vale must not permit anyone to enter it, not even Kraden. Kraden, can we use him? His knowledge is no meager thing. We can use him. But he's more stubborn than we expected. And cunning, too. Cunning beyond measure. I like how these guys really haven't aged much, and we have. If you won't go willingly, then we can always... Always what? And this is a familiar thing. You there, what are you doing? What are we doing? That's a good question. Yeah. Were you eavesdropping on our conversation? No, not at all. I guess that I should take you at your word. Hey, you're the ones who were sneaking around. He's got a point, you know. Sneaking? Who are you to accuse me? So Kraden's engagement was with you. Yeah, we're off to meet him right now. And this appointment is important enough to drive us away? Well, yes, it is, actually. If your errand is more important than our own, then... Go. You're letting us go? Are you sure, Satoros? Minardi, we have no reason to delay these children any further. Let's go, Zack. Indeed. I don't like you. You beat us up 3 years ago, and now you're still here, and nobody seems to care that you're prowling around our silly little town after you actually nearly killed 2 children. What is this? Like, what? What is this? I don't like you. Go away. I never understood that. Like, they were clearly the bad guys, and like, this game takes place 3 years later, and they're still here. Like, you think the villagers would be like, hey, those guys look kind of out of place. And just who were they? They already know too much about Sol Sanctum. Things that even the Elders of Vale don't know. Yeah, that is fishy. And what were they saying about the elements? The elements of alchemy, earth, water, fire, and wind. They plan to set them into motion. And the 4 elemental stars are the key. I suppose so. This sounds important. These are things even I, a trained alchemy sage, do not know. Indeed, but... For a trained sage... Well, I guess that's what happens when you live in Vale. Let's talk to Kraden. This is Kraden, by the way. Oh, Zack. You look like something's bothering you. Me? Ah, well... It's those two, isn't it? Saturos and Minardi were their names, right? Are they still out there? They're very persistent. Do they want something from you, Kraden? That seems to be the case. Huh? Seems to be? Aleph and Sol Sanctum. They spoke as if they'd seen them with their own eyes. Well, that's not good. Isn't that strange? Yeah, I'd say so. No one's allowed up there, right? That is kind of strange. Like, maybe... I don't know... Yes, you can't enter Mount Aleph without a very good reason. And if they entered secretly, then they might be thieves! We have to go tell the High Elders and the villagers. Well, yeah, they kind of beat us up a few years ago. Wait, everyone! Are you forgetting, Eric? I still don't know how accurate the things they said were. We can do nothing until we confirm what they told me. Then what should we do? Well, we go confirm it. Wait, what? You want us to... Do you mean we should go into Sol Sanctum ourselves? That's not... Isn't that impossible? Well, no. They did it before, right? And why would it be? He's got a point. Just because climbing Mount Aleph is forbidden? Well, yes. But technically, no. Because if it's forbidden, then we can still do it, so it's not impossible in that sense, so no. That's right. We're just going to see if they've been to Mount Aleph. We'll be fine if they don't see us, right? Well, what they won't know can't hurt them. Right, we won't be doing anything bad up there. This'll just be our secret, okay? Yep. Why would I say no to that? I don't know. Then it's decided. We'll make you the leader, okay? What? Okay, sure. I've said yes to everything else. I'm very compliant with these sorts of things, so sure. There's some dangerous places between Mount Elef and Sol Sanctum. But you can handle it, right, Zack? You're more cautious than Eric is, Zack, so you'll be fine. You don't have to be so blunt. What? Jumpy Kraden is jumpy. And a bag! A very grey bag. This is our best bet. A bag? Alright, let's go. Well, alright then. So I guess we're heading off to Mount Elef, which we technically shouldn't be allowed to go to. And, oh man, this game. So, interestingly how I mentioned, yes. So how I mentioned last time, oh man, it has been a long time, hasn't it? How I mentioned earlier that the action button is also the button used to look at stuff and whatnot. Yeah, it is. And I didn't want to read that because that's the basics of something that was just told to us earlier. You essentially have to walk up to stuff and press A to look at it, which, because start button is technically pause, so B or A button is also the only button because of the Game Boy Advance button limitations to do this stuff. Well, because of that, if you try to look at this barrel, for example, from this side, if I just push to the right, my character will attempt to go around it. So, unfortunately, you have to be kind of very precise with how you walk into things like that, and that's just a really weird, tiny thing. And it's kind of a small annoyance in this game, and it took me a while to get used to when I first played it. What do you want, little kid? Do you hear those awful growls coming from the other side of this fence? No, not really. Really? You mean I'm the only one that hears them? I guess so. So there's this giant boulder here, and we can't do anything with that yet. So we'll be back here later. Believe me, we will be back here. Alright. So I realized I didn't show off a bit of alchemy, synergy, so I'm going to show it off right now. So you saw earlier how Eric was pushing this little wooden thing here. Now, technically, you can just walk up to it and push it. And that's cool, right? But like in most games, this would mean that this would be stuck and you're just like, oh, well, I screwed up, I have to leave the map and go back. But not in Golden Sun. Because you can use move and instantly move it from any angle. And you can do it at, well, I guess you can't really do it at a 3D, or at a diagonal. But that's a really cool aspect of this game, is how they incorporate synergy into the puzzles like that, and I really like it. So we're gonna head up here. And I'm pretty sure Mount Elef is up here, so let's head up here. Except we're not going to because we're gonna get pushed out of the way by this guy. You're not planning on sneaking up to Mount Elef, are you? No. Well, I'll overlook it this time. But I've got my eye on you, Zack. And then he walks to the right and heads up, so we're gonna run back. That always made me laugh. Alright, so we're at the Sol entrance. So this is a Sol Sanctum on Mount Elef. So let's head inside. This is the entrance to Sol Sanctum. This is your first time here, right? Well, considering you just said earlier that it's forbidden, I really doubt I've been up here, so yes. Yes, it is. It's an important relic of our past. Take a good look at it. I wonder what would happen if you said no there. I should do that sometime. Anyway, here's Mount Elef, the first dungeon of the game. So this is going to introduce an interesting concept that I didn't figure out the first time. You can jump in this game. But you can only jump one tile. Like, you see how there's a one tile space between this one and this one? That's how you know you can jump across something. Now, generally this game's got lots of jumping puzzles, so you generally have to, like, find the right tile set and then jump across them. So yeah, jumping is a thing you're going to be doing in this game, and it's kind of interesting. I say that a lot, apparently. Alright, so here's a long, winding hallway. And we get into our first encounter, technically, because... Oh, I got the first strike again like that? Holy cow. So, for now, all we have is attacks, except... Eric has a synergy called Flare. As you can see there, it consumes PP. It is a red, which means that it is a Mars element, and it has a pillar-like thing on the side right there. The one in the center is bigger than the two on the side. This means that this synergy will hit 3 targets. As you can see here, the symbol here is bigger while the other 2 are smaller. That means that when he casts this, it will do more damage to whoever the bigger symbol is on. So as you can see from this from here that the symbol right here is the biggest, this synergy casts on 3 enemies depending on where the center part is. Does that make sense? So when we cast that, Bat 1 is going to take a lot more damage than Bat 2, and Allie is also a Mars adept, so she can use Flare as well. Now Flare is super overkill for these bats, so I'm probably not going to use it. One thing to note about PP is that it will restore over time as you take steps. Of course, taking steps means that you run the risk of running into a battle. So as you can see, she's restored 1, not yet, and then another, and eventually she'll fully recover. So that's a really useful thing to keep in mind, because PP healing items in this game are not common. And by that I mean there's a very limited number of them, and you can't buy infinites of them, if I remember correctly. So generally, it's not something you're going to want to do. So now we've got another jumping puzzle room here. The beginning puzzles are all relatively simple, but that's the thing about Golden Sun's puzzles. Oh yeah, this is the dead end, I forgot. They're like, most of the puzzles in this game generally aren't terribly difficult. And hey, we got caught up by surprise. And Eric dodging the attacks like a boss. Go, Eric. They're generally not... Dude, Allie is dodging too! What is this? Dodging doesn't happen very often in this game, so it's pretty cool to get to see it like this. So yeah, puzzles in this game generally aren't terribly difficult, but they feel really good to solve. It's like, it's really hard to explain unless you've done it yourself, but like, the puzzles in this game are very simple, and yet at the same time... Oh yeah, this is the thing I need yet? Yeah, the right eye is sparkling, there's a hole... They just feel good to do because they're simple, and yet they're intuitive at the same time, and it's really nice. Like, none of them are probably gonna rack your brain too much, but it's still nice that they're there because it keeps the dungeons from just being, oh, well, I went into this dungeon and then got to the end. Or, I went in this maze of rooms. Because, like, the dungeons generally incorporate the puzzles as the maze, if that makes sense. And you'll see more of that as we get further along in the game. So up here's our first treasure chest, which contains a small jewel. Now, if you remember, that Minotaur over there had 1 blinking eye, and we got a small jewel. Well, logic would assume that perhaps the small jewel would be used there, but just for fun. A beautiful eye-shaped jewel. Well, if that doesn't tell you what it does, then I don't know what does. Also, how much PP is Cure? 3. And then, you'll notice that the menu instantly opened. That's something that might be a little bit confusing in that this is a more old-school RPG, so you have to like manually go into your items and use it through your menu. And then that will cause this weird little earthquake thing to happen, and you hear the sound of shifting stone. Yes, the sound of shifting stone. More bats, because, you know, why the heck not? It's not like bats are, like, too terribly bad or anything, and 1 damage, teehee, and you missed! Dude, Eric is dodging everything right now. That is insane. Eric never dodges. So if you've noticed, it's been a few battles and we still haven't gained a level. The thing about Golden Sun is that its level requirements are relatively high. And the strange thing is that in order to check it, you have to go into status and select this and go to EXP, and you'll see how many you need to reach the next level. So the thing about leveling up in this game is that it doesn't happen very often, and 1 level can make a huge difference. Now, you know, obviously you can still go to level 99 and such, but you could feasibly beat this game at level 25? 30? Possibly? It's probably been done lower, too, because there's a different way to power up that we'll get into later. What's wrong, Kraden? Those two said there was a hidden passage leading deeper into the sanctum. Oh, they did? I've come here many times, and I've always thought it looked strange. Kraden's just a regular rule breaker here, man. I've always imagined Soul Sanctum would look different somehow. What do you mean? Well, hey! Thanks, Allie! Soul Sanctum was built in honor of the sun. There ought to be something here to reflect that. I was always puzzled why there wasn't. That makes sense. I mean, soul, sun. If there is a hidden passage, then maybe it leads to... Well, let's see if we can find it. I think he's serious. Should we help him, Zach? Well, we came this far, and I'm kind of interested now, so let's do it. But it's too dangerous for us to split up. We should stay together. I didn't mention splitting up. Okay. Silly Eric. So, we've got all these weird-looking statues, and you might notice that the outline of this particular statue looks weird. And that's because... you can move it and reveal a hidden passage. Which leads to this, which doesn't do anything. This is a dead end. So, this game's got some visual cues like that, and it does kind of give away the puzzles. So there is that. It's kind of unfortunate, but meh. It's really not a terribly big deal. And it's like I said before, wow, it took one step. Oh, this is a perfect example to use some synergy. But yeah, it's like I said, the puzzles aren't that bad. So, you can see here that we have 4 enemies, all in a row. Now, in general, what I like to do in battles is I'm going to show you how synergy works. So I'm going to have Zach attack this slime way over here. Now I'm going to go to synergy with Eric and cast Flare. Now as you can see here, this synergy is going to attack these 3. But notice how it says Wild Mushroom 2. The Wild Mushroom 2 is going to take more damage than the others. I can also attack this one and only attack those 2. So I'm going to attack this one. Now, with Allie, I'm going to have her use Flare on this slime. And what this is going to do is this should feasibly finish off most of the enemies. Because, as you might have noticed from the previous episode, I believe I mentioned this, if you kill an enemy and the other character, one of your characters is intending to attack that same enemy, and then their turn comes up but the enemy is dead, rather than target a different enemy, that character will instead guard. Now, the thing is that if this Slime 1 were to be dead, and you were to attempt to use Flare, attacking this Wild Mushroom, even though these 2 are technically right in between, even though this Slime 2 is right here, you won't actually be able to attack both this Mushroom in the center right here, Wild Mushroom 2, and Slime 2, because you can't aim in the middle, because that enemy doesn't exist anymore. So there's lots of little nuances to the battle in this game, the battle system in this game, and that's what makes it really cool. Also worth noting, Slime 1 takes 23 damage and 3 exclamation points. 3 exclamation points means that the enemy was weak to that particular element, so it did a lot of damage. Now as you'll see here, the Baleful... what? Okay. Now as you can see here, Eric was still able to cast on that Wild Mushroom, even though technically he wasn't aiming at the center, and that's because he already had it targeted prior. So if you know that you're going to kill an enemy from a certain group, and you still have that group selected, you don't have to worry, because you know that you'll be able to still attack them and kill them. It's a really weird and complicated way to explain things, but once you see it in practice, it'll make a lot more sense. Because this game's battle system is really basic, but at the same time it's got this weird targeting system that actually makes it pretty cool. And then generally when there's only 2 enemies, I generally just like to melee them. Because even though that didn't take... wow, you dodged. What's up with all the dodging in this episode? It recovered all of our PP, so it's not a big deal. And there we go! Zach leveled up and mastered the Squire's Quake. So Zach now knows his first synergy besides Cure and Move. His HP rises, PP, attack, defense, agility, all that good stuff. And as you notice, Zach leveled up, but Eric didn't, because characters have different growth rates and, yeah, all that stuff. Now you could feasibly grind here, but the nice thing about Golden Sun is that... oh, hello, Small Jewel. Is that if you know what you're doing, you really don't need to grind. So, since we got a new synergy, why don't we try it out with Quake? It's got the same, targeting as Flare, so it shouldn't be any different. And there we go. Notice how it said Bat takes 10 damage, period. Well, that means that the Bat, resists, Earth. Which is Venus, technically. And, Eric leveled up, which is good. So, enemies do have certain resistances, and the really cool thing is that you can tell what they're weak to by that little... exclamation points. Yes! Because I can't think of the word, because it's... wow, I really can't think of this word right now. My brain is actually failing to tell me of a word that I can't think of. Punctuation. There we go. Wow, I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. Got a smoke bomb. I don't use smoke bombs. In fact, I hardly ever use attack items in this game at all, and they're just stuff to sell. See, obstructs enemy sight. It basically just casts a blind on a bunch of enemies. And really, blind isn't the most useful thing in the world, so I generally don't use it. And wow, the encounter rate is weirdly higher than I remember, and that's very strange. Because generally, I hardly ever get into fights in this area. And we're gonna go ahead and finish off these guys with some flare, because their weakness is that. And Allie is level 2, sweet. And I kinda can't remember where to go. I think it's over here. And I don't know why I can't remember where to go, because I'm going the right way. And holy crap, everything is attacking us at once. Let's attack them. By the way, did I mention how awesome this game's battle music is? Because this game's battle music is amazing. I just want to say. And Eric will cast Flare. There we go. 70 XP, that's pretty good for this point in the game. How much are you to leveling up? 21? Yeah, we could grind here, but again, don't need to. And hey, more statues! Hey, that's what I just said, Creighton. It doesn't look like we can reach them from here. Huh. Perhaps synergy is the key. Zach, try to use your synergy. So, one thing I didn't notice about synergy that's really useful to note is that when you go to your synergy menu, you notice how it says shortcut? Well, if you press, say for example, the L button instead of the A button, you'll then see L, which synergy. If you go to a synergy and press A, you will link it to that particular button. Although I don't want to link retreat to L because I don't want to accidentally use it. Now you can link this to those two buttons, and then just push the button on the map, and you can use them. And this is going to be incredibly handy because you're going to be using synergy a lot. And if I recall correctly, aha! And we got this earlier. The only thing is that early on in the game, even though move takes up only 2 PP, it still takes up quite a bit of PP this early on. I'm pretty sure this room is just the dead end. No? Huh. My memory is failing me for this game right now. Oh yeah, it is a dead end. I just generally don't go this way because it's a dead end. And we got a new enemy called the Amaze! And as you just saw, to make a pun, it's not very amazing. If I recall right, is this one? Yeah! My memory doesn't totally suck. Awesome. I'm gonna walk into this room, and we are going to engage in a butt ton of enemies. Holy crap. What is this? I kid you not. I don't ever get into this crazy of battles when I play this part of the game. Like, ever. This is pretty awesome, actually. Gives me a good chance to show off the battle system. Alright, let's go ahead and finish off with some melee, as I used to call it growing up. Because who needs to say melee when it's melee? Super Smash Bros. Melee. Probably made a bunch of people really, really angry. How dare you mispronounce that word? Oh my god! I'll kill you! Because it's the internet, and that's what the internet does, is they get really mad at you for mispronouncing words. Boy, do they. If YouTube comments have taught me anything, don't mispronounce a word. And if you say something wrong, you better be prepared for 5 million, actually comments. Because God only knows how many comments you see that say, actually, and then it's just someone being all like, I know more about this game than you, or this video, or whatever. This is it! We found it! Clearly this is the mark of the sun, the heart of Soul Sanctum. It's just as I'd imagined, which means those two were telling the truth. Were they now? But if what they said was true, then that means they must have been. They were thieves. They came to rob the sanctum. Let's hurry back to the village and tell everyone. Creighton, what's the matter? We're so close. Close? Close to what? We've come all the way to the heart of Soul Sanctum. To turn our backs on it and leave? Oh, you're not gonna guilt trip us, are you? There's something wrong with that? Soul Sanctum holds the origins of alchemy. It would be a waste to... What do you think? Shall we go a little farther? Well, going back would be kind of a nuisance at this point, so why the heck not? Thank you. If you put it that way, we don't have much choice. I'm with Kraden. I want to look inside. Really? We'll just go a little bit further. Good. It's decided. Let's move ahead. And indeed, we will move further in the next episode. Thank you guys so very... Wow, I just about stole someone's outro. Wow, what was that? Oh man. Next time on Golden Sun, we'll continue further into the Soul Sanctum and see just what lies beyond here, and find out more about alchemy, maybe. I don't know, but we'll find out next time. See you guys then. Did I just stole another outro. Oh my gosh, wow. Bye guys. I waved at you, because you can see that. Oh man, okay, stop recording.